Wirecut is EVG's digital product to import, create and check reinforcement products that shall be produced on EVG machines or any other machines in a shop. The main features of Wirecut will be shown in this video. First of all, you have a project feature, which means you can open projects that you have already created, or you can start with an empty project. You give the new project a name, and you tell the software which is the customer's name. Now you get in the main project overview. You can now close this area or you can reopen it. Then you have here the main menu with the file menu, which allows you to create a new mat, a new stirrup, import a file, insert data, for example in a Unitechnic ASCII format, or you come to the settings or exit the program. In the view section you can reload the whole program. You can zoom in, which means it gets bigger. You can zoom out, which means it gets a little bit smaller. This is helpful when you work, for example, with presentations, beamers or something like that. You can zoom to 100% once again. In the help area you can visit the EVG website or get to the online documentation area. There you find the documentation, the digital products of EVG, like here Wirecut. Unfortunately now only in German, but we work on it also to give it to you in English. Back to Wirecut. When we are here in the project area, then you can open existing files or you create new files. For example, you get in this area to a wizard which provides you different samples you can start with. You can start with an empty mat, you can start with a flat mat, you can start entering like you are used to do it in an EVG input program in the HMI of an EVG machine. We have also in addition different samples that you can start from. Let's take as an example a flat mat. Yeah, you click to the next button, you customize the main parameters, which means the length. For example, we want to make a 5 meter length mesh for 2400 millimeter wide. We have here the spacing. In general, the spacing can be automatically calculated or you can calculate it manually. You are also able to define which wire diameters you have. In this case I want to have a 10 millimeter here and a 12 millimeter for the longitudinal wires. The spacings we make here 100 millimeter spacing, and then we push next. We get here a preview of the mesh with the measurements and also indices for all the different wires that we have. We can change here also to a 3D view of it, which allows a view on the mesh on a 3D perspective. You see it here, you can then rotate it or whatever you want to do with it. Then you push create and we get to the designer area. The designer area now allows you to modify any single wire that you want to. For example, I get here this cross wire which I can choose. Then I have here a table view of all the wires that I have. And for example, I can now change this one wire to a 12 millimeter wire, which I can see because it changes the color of it. The colors can be defined in the settings, and all the wires that are available can also be defined in the settings in the program. I can also change the length. For example, here I want to make a 6 millimeter length, and then I see, okay, this wire is now longer in this direction. I have also the feature to cut out areas. For example, I can cut out a square, a circle, or a polyline. When I make a circle, I define, okay, here maybe I have a column or something like that in my area. I define it here and I say, okay, please cut out this area. And I have now cut out a mesh like this. I can rotate the mesh, yeah, like this. Or I can mirror it, yeah, however I want. And I see the properties, which means all the metadata that is defined can be accessed here. We show you which metadata is used in which data format. Yeah, we work with Unitechnik, BVBS, and Progress XML data formats. And now I can, for example, say, okay, I have a drawing number in this case, which is something like any number. At this here, maybe have something else like an author that I want to add, which is my name. And I save this, then I get the metadata shown here. I can now again get into a preview of the mesh that we have, which is then once again done in 2D and 3D. Yeah, you now see here that the different wires are shown in a list, yeah, of indices here. And now I can also define the export. I can export the current file in my project. I can also export several files that I have in my project. So the current one I want to export is, for example, in a DXF file. You see we have different formats available for now. When I want to send it to the machine, normally I choose a Unitechnik file or a Progress XML file, and then I export it. And now I want to export a DXF file to see that this is also working. Then I choose where I want to save it. I got here to save, and now let's open it. You see, I opened an AutoCAD mechanical. In this case, this was the DXF file name here, and you see here every single wire shown as a DXF file or in an AutoCAD CAD software. Now let's close AutoCAD and get back to WireCut. So we have here the flat mat. I can also change the name of the flat mat. Yeah? In this case I want to give it a flat mat new, for example. I can save the name. What I can also add is the next product. For example, I want to add a stirrup. We get here the catalog of different stirrup forms that are available already. You can also start with an empty one. I start now with this template. You see, this is my my stirrup. I can now also get back to the designer and say, okay, I do not want to have this length of the area. I want to have a different one. So let's change, for example, the width, and then let's go here for 300, for example. And make here the overlap also to 300. And then I save this. Then I can add also a new mat from the wizard. And let's take now a banded mesh, for example, in an L basket. Also here, same as before, you define the main parameters I will not change here something for now. Then I go to next. I see a 2D drawing of this element with the bending line here. I say create, and then this bend mesh is also added to my project. In the preview area, then I have the possibility once again to have a look on this product in a 3D mode. I save everything here. Now, for example, I have a Unitechnic file somewhere on my PC. Then I can say, okay, I want to import a file. Then let's take a Unitechnic file that we have, and we prepared here something. You see here we have a Unitechnic file of a cage in this case, and I say import here. Say yeah, add it to my project, and we have now the cage available in our reinforcement project. Once again, I can rotate the cage as I want. I can have a 2D view on it. I can once again get back to the designer and change parameters of different wires. For example, I see then here on the cross wire we have the bend shape that we have on it. You can change it here and then export it to the machine. So for now, this should be the main features. For now, in detail, there will be other videos that get more in detail afterwards. Thank you for watching the video, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact EVG.